One of the most recognizable superheroes in pop culture, the Flash is perhaps one of the fastest beings in DC Comics. While Barry Allen is the most well-known iteration of the character in the comics, there are many other versions, but Wally West is arguably faster than the former as the Scarlet Speeder. In 2009's The Flash, the Human Race comic series, West's version of the Flash reached something called trans-time velocity, which exceeded any speed theoretically possible in science. As a speedster, the Flash can easily travel well beyond the speed of light, which gives him the ability to time travel. This makes the character one of the most potent DC superheroes who can manipulate time to his advantage if need be. The ability to do this is indeed extremely powerful, but he isn't the hardest hitter nor the most durable. So while he is worth mentioning, he is not really powerful enough to make it any higher compared to others on this list. Number 9. Martian Manhunter. I think it's incredibly easy to overlook Martian Manhunter's incredible capabilities. Yes, he is more well known for being a telepath and a shapeshifter, but this guy packs a hell of a punch with the Martian abilities of phasing, Martian vision, and density alteration. Now, his probably most powerful form was when he became Furnace, completely negating his weakness for fire. But Furnace was a villain and therefore cannot be on this list. But in DC 1 Million, we get a John Johns who leads a war against Darkseid and gets him to surrender to the Source Wall, becoming trapped inside of it. The Source Wall in return gave John one wish. His wish was to become one with Mars, meaning John became a living planet while maintaining his multiversal telepathy and his genius intelligence. We don't get to see much of this version of John, but we can guess a lot of things about this version. Firstly, his weakness to fire is probably non-existent, because I mean, people gotta make fire on the planet, you know? We can probably assume John keeps his other Martian abilities to a degree as well, and there's also the possibility that the passage of time has increased those natural abilities considering he's defeated Darkseid. We can also assume he would now also have the powers that usually come with being a living planet, like weather manipulation and control of the elements. He can control the sands of Mars to an incredible degree too, so there's that as well. Number 8. Power Girl. There have been many versions of Supergirl throughout the years. None were remembered as fondly as Kara Zor-El, the cousin of Superman. While Kal-El was rocketed to Earth as a child from a dying Krypton, Supergirl was sent out from Argo City as a teenager. She became trapped in suspended animation until she finally arrived on Earth, where she soaked up a ton of solar radiation. Now yes, Supergirl is powerful, but there is a more powerful alternate version of her in the form of Power Girl. Power Girl has all the powers and abilities of Kryptonian and is pretty much just like Supergirl, with a major difference being she is older than her counterpart, and therefore Karen Starr, Power Girl, is far more powerful. Over the years she has evolved again and again to fit the continuity, but she's still considered one of the strongest DC superheroes. Power Girl has been able to knock out Superman in just one punch when she was needed to. She can stand up to Supergirl and even Wonder Woman in the heat of combat, and she's even been able to beat up someone as powerful as Darkseid. Number 7. Shazam. Billy Batson is just a wee lad who, thanks to the wizard Shazam, could transform into a powerful magical hero named Captain Marvel, or if you prefer, just Shazam. By saying his magic word, he gained an array of attributes including the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury. Shazam has proven himself to be nearly as strong as Superman, with the two having fought to a draw many times, with Shazam actually having an edge in the form of his magical abilities. Shazam defeated foes as powerful as Black Adam multiple times and went pound for pound, shot for shot with godlike people such as Hercules and the Spectre. And that's before we even get into Jokerized Shazam or even pre-Crisis Shazam, who had basically unlimited strength. Like so much so that he pulled the Earth back into spinning again. I don't know how it stopped spinning, it seems kind of like it would be impossible, but comic books, okay? He's been shown to be as strong enough to move planets and survive nearly the same amount of stuff as Superman, so I'm gonna place him here comfortably. Number 6. Wonder Woman. Gifted with the powers of the gods, Wonder Woman has many of the same abilities Superman possesses, including strength, speed, and durability. However, Wonder Woman's Amazonian training sets her a little apart as an amazing warrior. It's been debated for years whether Diana could beat Superman in a fight, and while she's shown to be capable of hurting him at the least, she doesn't have the same raw amount of power. Instead, Wonder Woman dominates her opponents through a combination of her special abilities, superior tactics, and special equipment given to her by the gods. But she has been elevated beyond this. When Diana was empowered with the World Forge and the anti-crisis energy at the end of Doom War / during Death Metal, she had enough power to shake stars and phase throughout time through sheer strength. She had displayed the ability to shrink an entire planet and was able to link everyone together and restored their memories as one history, as in all of DC's continuity. She has cosmic awareness, she's able to see multiple events during the war against the Batman who laughs at once, as well as precognition and retrocognition. She was crazy powerful for that time. Number 5. Superman Prime. The Kal-El, who lived to the 853rd century, survived as long as he did by literally becoming the living extension of the sun. He left the Earth somewhere in the late 21st century when everyone he cared about died, and traversed the entire DC multiverse going beyond time and space, and has been said to have reached as far as heaven and hell themselves. He was created by Grant Morrison and Val Semeiks and first appeared in DC 1,000,000 number 4 in 1998. Now, this version of Superman has pretty much all of the same general powers of his normal self, only Superman Prime remained in Earth's sun for 15,000 years, increasing his abilities to immeasurable levels. He is known to dwarf the might of even the massively powerful Kal Kent, who is himself more powerful than the gravitational pull of a collapsing star and is multiple times faster than the speed of light. But he is still kinda just Superman who can do a hell of a lot by just strengthening the heck out of it. Number 4. Elaine Belloc. Bet you weren't expecting to see this girl here. But Elaine Belloc is the successor to the throne of heaven, and that's quite something in my opinion. Elaine has got the powers of atomic manipulation, magic, immortality, omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresence. While you may not expect it, she is one of the strongest inhabitants of the DC universe. Compared to other characters on this list, Elaine is a newer addition to the DC canon as she first appeared in Lucifer number 4 in September of 2000. But despite that, she has quickly climbed the ranks of DC's most formidable characters, and that's before she gains even more power after Fenrir the Wolf de-lifes her father, effectively making her the ruler of heaven after the presence departs. Since she isn't really a hero and is more kind of just like both good and bad, she does align good more than not, and I found it kinda hard to find a proper place to put her on this list, so I'm gonna go with 4, and we'll suffer the consequences of my decision. Number 3. Captain Atom. Nathaniel Atom was transformed into Captain Atom in the 60s after being semi-forced to participate in a potentially fatal experiment sitting at ground zero of a nuclear explosion encased in an alien metal. The explosion didn't kill him though. What it did do was bond the alien metal to his flesh, giving him superpowers and throwing him 20 so years forward into the present day. The alien metal gave him incredible abilities such as flight, matter manipulation, energy manipulation, time manipulation, energy absorption, telepathy, spatial manipulation, quantum manipulation, force field creation, time travel, magic, and mind manipulation, and control of the quantum field. These powers have let him perform some insane feats, like creating a universe within the quantum field and later destroying that universe, fighting Superboy Prime, easily defeating a team composed of multiple versions of Atom, before absorbing them and creating an explosion powerful enough to destroy a universal space-time continuum. He is truly an insanely strong being, and I would be ashamed to not include him on this list. Number 2. The Spectre. One of the most powerful beings in the DC universe is the Spectre. He is the biblical god's spirit of vengeance. He blesses whoever his host is with nearly unlimited magical potential, flight, invisibility, and intangibility. The Spectre can inflict death with a glance, revive dead men, materialize in multiple locations simultaneously. He has molecular reconstruction. He can heal wounds with a touch and can teleport as well as alter his size, implying he has matter manipulation abilities. The power of the Spectre is so great it needs a human host to keep him in check, which doesn't really make sense. Jim Corrigan, Hal Jordan, and Crispus Allen have each taken control of the spirit of vengeance in order to enact their own versions of justice onto the world. One of the Spectre's most impressive physical feats is the fact he could engage the Anti-Monitor in hand-to-hand combat for control of all creation. It's hard to find heroes more powerful than the Spectre, but there is one. Number 1. Dr. Manhattan. When I began to look up just what John Osterman, otherwise known as Dr. Manhattan's powers and feats were, well, the list could kinda take up nearly half the length of this video. So let's go through some of them, shall we? After he was destroyed and reconstituted from the atomic experiment gone wrong, John has no need for food, sleep, or oxygen, and no longer ages and can regenerate from any injury. He has nigh omniscience and possesses an understanding of the workings of the universe on a cosmic scale. He has reality warping and matter manipulation powers, allowing him to end literally everything, which he foresaw himself doing, so he obviously has precognition even as far as a millennium, and can even see alternate futures. He has causality and time manipulation, which allowed him to return the metaverse to how it was before his interference and remove 10 years from the universe's timeline, creating the New 52. He obviously has time travel, which he's used to travel back in time and save Jor-El right before Krypton's destruction. John experiences all the reboots in DC continuity, and yet he remains unaffected, and additionally, John exists in every timeline all at once, meaning that he has duplication and dimensional travel abilities as well. He possesses elemental manipulation, creating a ring of blue fire, producing an oxygen field, creating water, and producing electricity. Saying he has enhanced senses is kind of an understatement, as he can read atoms, sense tachyons, knew someone didn't have cancer with a glance, and heard a heartbeat from someone else's womb. He can phase through things, create human life, made plants grow, teleports an entire crowd of people away. He has instantly analyzed and learned magic after being attacked with it, and absorbed energy from a Green Lantern ring and absorbed magical attacks. Dr. Manhattan is more than a god.
Number 10. Tiamat. While there is a character named Tiamat in the Prime Earth continuity who is quite different, the version of Tiamat we're discussing here once claimed to have been worshipped as a goddess, and was an enemy to Aquaman, likely belonging to the Anunkai, gods and goddesses who were worshipped in ancient Mesopotamia and who were the children of the sky god Anu. Tiamat battled Aquaman in his 90s series a few times and also appeared in War of the Gods, where she did battle against Aquaman again, representing the Babylonian hierarchy of gods and goddesses. Number 9. Harmonia. Harmonia is known as the goddess of harmony and concord. Being that we have the Greek pantheon in the DC universe, those well versed in Greek mythology probably won't be too surprised to see that she too exists among the gods and goddesses there. But those who are less familiar with, the whole of Greek mythology probably didn't even know about her at all. Harmonia would also definitely be lesser known among DC fans, as she only appears a few times in the comics. Still, she has been around since the 80s and is known for being the daughter of Ares and Aphrodite over at DC, which also aligns with one of her prominent origins from Greek mythology, where she's the daughter of Ares and Aphrodite. According to Greek mythology, Harmonia was the keeper of a cursed necklace, which was passed down through generations, and either was unlucky or was cursed because it held within it her power. And I imagine that it's like, if you get the necklace, then it's like you now have her power, but you're not supposed to. It's kind of weird though, because you'd think like harmony wouldn't be a bad power to have. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you haven't already, be sure to go over on Facebook and give us a follow. It really helps us out here at the channel and we really appreciate it. Number 8. Ishtar. DC taps into a lot of different realms when it comes to the widespread realms that their gods cover. One such god, or goddess I suppose I should say, is Ishtar. Ishtar actually hails from Mesopotamia, specifically being a prominent figure in the Babylonian Empire. She exists in the New Earth continuity, and while she isn't predominantly featured in DC mainstream books, she is a character who appears in the Vertigo line of comics in The Sandman. Here we learn that Ishtar was also once the lover of destruction, one of Dream's siblings and a member of the Endless, themselves also gods who represent major ideas and concepts that rule over life and death in the earthly realm. Number 7. Ia. You may have been familiar with Quat, but did you know about Ia, his twin brother? Ia is the identical twin brother of the sun god Quat. He made his first appearance alongside his brother in Future State Superman/Wonder Woman issue number 1. While he doesn't take as active a role in that series as his brother does, I'm hoping that as Yara Flor continues to develop and grow as a character in the DC universe, that there is a good chance we could see more of the Brazilian pantheon of gods, Ia included. Yara Flor taking up the mantle of Wonder Woman and her existence as a hero was what helped to bring back the belief in the gods of Brazil, and it would be cool to see more of the moon and sun god brotherly duo as well as all the other gods. We don't get to learn too much of what Ia is capable of, as we only see him briefly in Future State, but gods who represent the moon, such as the Greek Artemis or her Roman counterpart Diana, are generally known for being powerful, full of wisdom, and sometimes a little bit of mystery. They also tend to be twin siblings of the god that represents the sun, which obviously is quite fitting here. Number 6. Thor. Although Thor is more thought of as a Marvel hero, he is a Norse god and technically comes with the free IP, so of course DC has their own version of this character, and has depicted the God of Thunder a few different ways across labels and series. Thor made his first appearance in DC Comics back in 1946 in Comic Cavalcade issue 17, where he actually played a somewhat antagonistic role. Odin in fact also appears here in the Wonder Woman story therein, titled The Valkyries Pray. In fact, he wants to try and make Wonder Woman into one of his Valkyries and believes that she might indeed be fit to serve him. I feel like Wonder Woman's gonna be like, nah, I'm good. I got some gods. I'm good. Number 5. Hel. Just as there is a Thor in the DC universe, there is also a Hel. In the Marvel universe, we know Hel as Hela. She is the daughter of Loki in the comics, Thor's niece, and is the banished sister of Loki and Thor in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In the DC universe, she is also the daughter of Loki and mainly appears in Sandman Presents the Thessaliad. At least, her new Earth mythological version does. There's also a villain known as Hel from Axis America, real name Helen Shepard, and a character named Hel in the Prime Earth continuity, who's a Kryptonian villain. So there's a lot of Hels running around. In Norse mythology, Hel is normally known as the ruler of the underworld. Number 4. Delirium. Delirium is a family member of the Endless. She is one of the youngest family members and was once known as Delight. I actually did a Delirium cosplay a short while ago, and while quite a few were fans of Sandman that saw it and loved the look, others did not even know who Delirium was, although a lot of them still loved the look, which was nice. So of course I thought her a fitting addition to this list. Delirium once represented the spark of happiness, joy, and innocence as Delight, but now represents insanity and lucidity in the world. She can make you mad just by wishing it or gazing at you, and often to her this is a gift that she bestows on those who she favors. But insanity is also something she uses to punish those that displease her. Needless to say, she is not necessarily a member of the Endless that you would want to cross, but nor would you want to be rewarded by her. Aside from bringing madness with her wherever she goes, she can also create beings and bring inanimate objects to life and alter her own appearance based on mood. When she has to become the voice of reason, her eyes will typically be the same color, though they are normally each different colors. Generally one is blue and one is green, but which eyes are which color tend to constantly shift as well. Number 3. Zonas. You might know about Darkseid, who belongs to the new gods, but do you know about Zonas, who belongs to the old gods? After all, for there to be new gods, there had to have been old gods, right? Zonas is one of the old gods and is in fact believed to have been the last of the old gods. He was known as the god of evil, or Yuga Khan. At one point he wielded anti-life, claiming it was what allowed him to actually resurrect the old gods, and is the original one to wield Omega Beams. Zonas ended up being trapped in the Source, and even after escaping that prison and attempting to destroy all of creation, was defeated and then imprisoned there once more. Number 2. Upside Down Man. I'm not quite sure if we consider Upside Down Man a god in the DC universe, but what I do know is that he is the dark reflection of Hecate, who is quite dark herself, so that's saying something. And she is considered to be a goddess and a powerful witch, so I think we can consider Upside Down Man to be at a god level. And of course Upside Down Man is also a powerful magic user. Hecate was the first creature to be born to magic, and Upside Down Man came into existence about the same time or shortly thereafter. Fearing the horror of this magical monster, Hecate actually basically banished Upside Down Man, cutting him off from the world and the other members of the other kind, who later were let back into the world during the events of the second Justice League Dark series. His magic is particularly strong because he pulls it straight from the source, as in the source of all existence, energy, and things in the universe. Number 1. Death. While fans of the Sandman series may be very familiar and huge fans of Death, because honestly everyone loves this character, a lot of people haven't read the Sandman series yet and do not know this character, or haven't listened to it yet, or haven't seen the show yet. I mean, the show isn't out yet. Still waiting on that. I really wanted to give her our top spot because not only is she super powerful and of course a little bit more niche, but while many people know of Mistress Death from Marvel, not as many people know about DC's Death, who is also a lady, and I think that is a crying shame because honestly, Death from Vertigo and DC is just a cooler character overall. Sorry Mistress Death, I love you, but I love the Endless version of Death even more. I like DC's version more, I know. Death will likely become more loved by the mainstream when she appears in Netflix's The Sandman series, but until then, she can just be our best kept secret. Except not now for you, because she's on this list, so now you know. She is not the oldest of the Endless, but she is the second oldest. Her elder brother Destiny is the only one that's actually older than her.
Number 10. Doom Patrol. This team of freaks were all victims of accidents caused by the scientist Niles Calder. These accidents made the team members outcasts, but also granted them amazing powers which made them capable of amazing feats. They also have members who would match up well against many members of the Silver Age Justice League. Their leader, Niles Calder, has a tactical brain that rivals that of Batman. Lucius Reynolds can wield magic and is capable of pyrokinesis, which could make him a problem for Martian Manhunter and could dehydrate Aquaman, who in the Silver Age needed to be exposed to water every hour. Danny the Street could make himself a yellow, inescapable void, thus trapping Green Lantern. One of Kay Chalice's personalities can see the future, making her a good candidate to go up against and counter Flash's super speed. Elastigirl's power to grow to huge heights is similar to Wonder Woman's recurring villain Giganta, making them a good matchup, and Negative Man can produce radiation, which he recently used in the latest World's Finest run by Mark Waid to imitate the effects of Krypton's red sun, meaning that he could depower Superman. He could also use this power to give Batman cancer, so all in all the Doom Patrol is not to be trifled with. Number 9. The Teen Titans. A team consisting of the various sidekicks and young heroes of the DC universe, many fans would assume that the Justice League would have no trouble taking out this team. But I would argue that the Silver Age version of the team is less powerful than most of the more infamous Titans lineups. I mean, Silver Age Batman is the guy who wore a different colored bat suit every night to try and distract criminals from Robin's broken arm. In a fight between him and Nightwing, Tim Drake, or Damian, I would put my money on any of the Robins who have been on the Titans 9 times out of 10. Silver Age Martian Manhunter's weakness is fire? Well, good luck with Starfire. Superman would probably pair up best against Raven, whose magic would give him some trouble. Miss Martian's mind control would be effective against Green Lantern. Between members like Cyborg, Supergirl, Power Girl, and Beast Boy, I think Aquaman and Wonder Woman could be handled. The only leaguer I'm having trouble with is the Flash. Any ideas? Let me know in the comments. Number 8. The Shazamily. Billy Batson, aka Shazam's family of heroes are a powerful force to be reckoned with, and though their youth and inexperience might be a disadvantage if they were fighting the modern League, you have to remember how often the Silver Age heroes made really bizarre, borderline stupid decisions. Superman and Shazam have a history of going toe-to-toe and are pretty evenly matched, so they pretty much cancel each other out. Black Adam is currently a member of the Shazamily, and when he fought Martian Manhunter in the World War III storyline, Black Adam beat him so hard that he left the planet crying. So no issues there. That leaves 5 Shazam family members: Freddy, Darla, Mary, Pedro, and Eugene, all of whom have the powers of Shazam and their magical tiger Tawny against 4 leaguers: Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and Aquaman. This version of Batman isn't really suited for this kind of fight, so whether or not the remaining 3 League could survive would really depend on how long it would take Black Adam to murder Martian Manhunter. Number 7. The Justice Society. Before the Justice League was introduced in 1960, the superhero team of the DC Universe was the Justice Society of America. They helped the Allied forces in World War II and have helped to keep the world safe ever since. This team gets a lot of points against the League due to the technicality we established in the intro. Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman were all members of both teams, so won't be considered in this hypothetical matchup. While that removes a lot of the League's heavy hitters, the JSA is still left with a considerable roster that would make them a nightmare for the remaining Leaguers. Black Adam is a member of this team as well, so as stated before, he could handle Martian Manhunter like he did in the World War III storyline. In a fight between Silver Age Aquaman and Hawkman and Hawkgirl, Arthur Curry is coming out of it as fish food. The JSA has their own Flash and Green Lanterns in the form of Jay Garrick and Alan Scott, so that would put the JSA on almost even footing. But once you include additional members like Blue Beetle, Cyclone, and Atom Smasher, and Mr. Terrific, I think the JSA takes it through sheer numbers. Number 6. Young Justice. Yet another beloved team of young heroes who were mostly sidekicks who formed their own team, Young Justice wouldn't last long against the modern Justice League, but once again, you have to take into account the weaknesses inherent to the Silver Age versions of the characters. For example, while you might assume that the first Aquaman, Arthur Curry, would wipe the floor with the new Aquaman and former Aqualad, Jackson Hyde, the Silver Age version of Arthur wasn't summoning leviathans or causing tidal waves, he was riding dolphins and hanging out with an octopus named Topo. As I said in the Titans entry, Tim Drake versus Silver Age Batman is no contest. Teen Lantern might not be a match for Green Lantern, but if any member of the team simply painted themselves yellow, they would probably be fine. Superboy would probably take Superman by surprise with the sheer level of brutality he was capable of, and although he probably wouldn't win, if he teamed up with a character like Sideways who can open rifts to other dimensions, they could probably get him off the board for a while. Martian Manhunter could be trouble, but Jenny Hex's power negation abilities and the sheer power of characters like Amethyst and Naomi McDuffie, I think they could handle him. Wonder Girl and Silver Age Wonder Woman are probably about on par, and Impulse would be able to at least slow down the Flash, but the Young Justice Ringer is Summer Pickens, who can dial her H-phone and be replaced with a hero from the Heroverse who can handle the task for her. Number 5. Justice League Dark. This subset of the League is dedicated to dealing with supernatural or mystic threats to the Earth and has many of DC's most powerful magic wielders as members. Wonder Woman was a member of both teams, so she won't be considered in this entry. A member like Deadman, who can possess people, would be a good way to take out the Flash. The demon Etrigan almost killed the modern Batman in Kevin Smith's Widening Gyre, so Silver Age Bats is totally screwed. He's also yellow, so he could cause a lot of problems for Green Lantern. Superman's magic weakness would make him particularly vulnerable to all of the members of this team, but mostly Zatanna. And don't tell me you wouldn't love to see Silver Age Aquaman go up against the chain-smoking magic wielder John Constantine, who could just use magic to dehydrate him. All that leaves is Martian Manhunter, while the Dark Justice League still has a surplus of fighters like Dr. Fate, Swamp Thing, and Enchantress, just to name a few. Number 4. The Legion of Superheroes. The Legion of Superheroes are a massive team of superpowered people from various worlds in the 30th century. They have a history of traveling through time to team up with a young Clark Kent and preventing disasters before they happen. Unfortunately for the League, this means that their most powerful member is benched for this round. A Legion member like Element Lad, who can transmute common elements, like water, into other things, could take out this version of Aquaman pretty fast, while the Chemical Kid's ability to affect the chemical reactions in the body would cause Batman to go into toxic shock. Dragonwing can breathe fire, which would make Martian Manhunter have some issues. Despite Superman being off the board for both teams, the Daxamite Mon-El has a very similar power set to the Man of Steel and would be a real challenge for Wonder Woman, especially if he teamed up with another member of the team, Superman's son John. There's no one hero who could break the Flash's stride, but considering there are like 24 Legion of Superhero members I haven't mentioned, the Legion would take this fight over the original Justice League through sheer numbers. Number 3. The Bat Family. So obviously Batman is off the table for this pair-up of the League versus the various sidekicks that Batman has trained over the years. While I don't think that the modern Bat Family could take out the original League in open combat, their experience over the years in guerrilla tactics and their access to a Bat computer full of plans designed to take out way more powerful versions of the League's heroes would give them a definite edge. But even if we take away those plans as they were developed by Batman, the Bat Family has the know-how to formulate effective contingency plans of their own. In the recent Robin and Batman miniseries, we learned that coming up with plans to take out superpowered beings was one of the first lessons Dick Grayson was taught when he was introduced to the Justice League and the Teen Titans. Characters like Tim Drake and Damian Wayne have shown a keen tactical mind, with Damian repeatedly bragging about how he would plan to take out the superheroes of the League. These Robins, teamed with other members like the various Batgirls, Batwing, Signal, and Huntress, would be more than smart enough to come up with their own plans to take out the Silver Age heroes of the League. We know they have access to Kryptonite, although Damian claims to have a plan to defeat Superman in the comics that is magic-based. Dick Grayson beat up Green Lantern as a child in All-Star Batman and Robin after painting an entire room and himself yellow, so Nightwing would have no issues as an adult going up against the Silver Age version of the character. I like the mental image of Silver Age Aquaman having to try and go 10 rounds with the Red Hood, and although Flash, Martian Manhunter, and Wonder Woman would be difficult to deal with, the Bat Family could take them out, and I know how cliched this sounds, if they had enough prep time. Number 2. The Green Lantern Corps. This intergalactic group of space cops use the power of will to fuel their Green Lantern rings, which allow them to create powerful constructs limited only by the user's imagination. Well, the logic I've used so far on this list on how other heroes could defeat Silver Age Green Lantern may initially sound like something the Silver Age League could use to their advantage, this weakness no longer affects the modern Green Lantern Corps. It was revealed that the weakness yellow was due to the being Parallax being trapped in the Green Lantern's central power battery on the planet Oa and causing an impurity. This impurity has since been removed, meaning that the League painting themselves yellow wouldn't help them. Both the Corps and the League obviously obviously lose Hal Jordan due to him being on both teams, but that still leaves dozens of Green Lanterns for the 6 remaining Leaguers to try and deal with. While having the Flash, Wonder Woman, and Superman would make the League last longer than you might think, the sheer size and power of the Green Lantern Corps, with powerful members of later iterations of the League such as John Stewart and Guy Gardner, would make the Justice League outmatched. But maybe we'd get to see Batman take out Guy Gardner with a single punch again before it happened. Number 1. The Superman family. The Superman family might just be one of the most OP superhero teams in the DC universe, with many of its members having the same powers as the Man of Steel. In this hypothetical matchup, the Silver Age Justice League simply wouldn't stand a chance. Not only do they lose their most powerful team member due to the technicality, but they have to go up against heroes like Supergirl, Superboy, and the John Kent Superman. I think Kara Zor-El is the most interesting matchup against this version of Wonder Woman, and that Power Girl could take out Green Lantern with John Kent wiping the floor with Silver Age Aquaman. Martian Manhunter would be dangerous with his mind control, but a bolt of heat vision from Superboy would probably be sufficient. The Flash is tricky but by no means impossible to defeat in his Silver Age iteration, and honestly the biggest threat to the Super family would be Batman with his kryptonite. But Lana Lang's Superwoman is not affected by this, so she should be okay. Anyone left over from the fight would be in no condition to keep going for long, which is when the last line of defense would kick in. A super dog, cat, and monkey, all with the powers of the Man of Steel. Honestly, the Superman family is so powerful that even the modern version of the Justice League would have trouble triumphing over them if it ever came to blows between the two groups.
Coming in at number 10 is Raven. Rachel Roth, known as Raven, is a unique individual with a dual nature, part human and part demon, being the daughter of the fearsome Trigon and a woman named Arella. Born in Azarath, a realm different from Earth, Raven grew up feeling like an outsider due to her origins. Seeking answers about her identity, she accidentally summoned Trigon, resulting in the destruction of Azarath and her abduction by her malevolent father. Despite her tumultuous lineage, Raven found solace and purpose as a valued member of the Teen Titans, a group of young superheroes. During her time with the Titans, she developed a deep connection with Damian Wayne, also known as Robin, and their relationship evolved into a romantic partnership. Raven's journey is one of self-discovery as she strives to reconcile her human and demonic sides while battling the inner darkness inherited from her father. Number 9. Batman. Bruce Wayne, whose parents were tragically taken from existence in an alley by Joe Chill, dedicated his life to becoming the vigilante Batman. You already know this. As a member of the Justice League, Batman joined forces with his teammates to confront a crisis at the Flash Museum. Recognizing the danger of the devices attached to the villains, Batman worked alongside Green Lantern and Mirror Master to disarm them in the lower atmosphere. With those devices neutralized and the villains apprehended, Batman tried to dissuade the Flash from falling into Professor Zoom's trap, but was unsuccessful. The Flash's actions led to the creation of the Flashpoint timeline, erasing Batman and the world as they knew it. After the timeline was finally restored, the Flash visited Batman and shared the events that transpired, including delivering a letter from Bruce's late father. Touched by the message, Batman tearfully acknowledged the Flash, recognizing him as an exceptional messenger. Number 8. Superman. Kal-El, the last survivor of Krypton, was sent to Earth by his parents, Jor-El and Lara, to escape the impending destruction of their planet. Landing in Kansas, he was adopted by Jonathan and Martha Kent and raised as Clark Kent. As an adult, Clark became a reporter at the Daily Planet and assumed the mantle of Superman, using his incredible powers granted by Earth's yellow sun to protect humanity and uphold justice. He became a founding member of the Justice League and dedicated his life to fighting for truth and justice. Following the restoration of the timeline, Clark's personal history remains intact, but with some alterations, including the erasure of his marriage to Lois Lane and a new design for his costume, which actually looks kinda cool. Despite being a relatively new hero, Superman is wildly adored and admired by the world, in contrast to other superheroes who face fear and distrust from the population. I'm talking about in-universe, not in our world. Everyone knows Superman. We all know him. Number 7. Amazo. Amazo, also known as the Android or Professor Ivo's android, was a nanotechnological creation designed by Professor Ivo. Equipped with advanced nanotechnology, Amazo possessed the ability to replicate the traits and abilities of any person or object by observing them. After Professor Ivo's passing, Lex Luthor discovered Amazo and recognized his potential, using his manipulation skills to gain control over the android. android. Luthor convinced Amazo that he would take care of him as Ivo would have wanted, and he turned Amazo into confronting the Justice League. Luthor sent Amazo on a mission to steal fuel, causing a rampage to grab the League's attention. Through his mimicry, Amazo assimilated the powers and equipment of various League members, including Hawkgirl's Mason wings, Wonder Woman's abilities and bracelets, John Stewart's power ring, and Flash's super speed. With an amalgamation of their powers, Amazo overwhelmed the League pretty easily. Despite Superman's attempt to prevent it, Amazo successfully replicated Superman's abilities as well, further enhancing his own strength. Number 6. Wonder Woman. Diana of Themyscira, also known as Wonder Woman, is an Amazonian warrior princess and prominent superhero in the Justice League. In the Flashpoint timeline, she becomes Queen of the Amazons and enters into an alliance with the Atlanteans, resulting in an affair with Orin, the King of Atlantis. When Mira, Orin's wife, attempts to take out Diana, she is actually taken out in self-defense, leading Diana to claim Mira's crown as a warning. Conflict ensues, but after the Flashpoint event, Diana arrives in Washington, D.C. with Steve Trevor to meet the president, only to be confronted by angry protesters who criticize her attire and actions. Discovering the truth through her lasso of truth, she and Steve proceed to meet with the president. Number 5. Swamp Thing. Alec Holland, a brilliant scientist, developed a revolutionary formula capable of solving food shortages worldwide. However, his life takes a dark turn when he is attacked in his lab and left for dead with an explosive device, we shall say. Awakened by the explosion, Alec finds himself transformed into Swamp Thing as he stumbles into the nearby swamp, saturated in his own biorestorative formula. Now connected to the mystical life force called the Green, Swamp Thing becomes the guardian of plant life and serves the Parliament of Trees. He possesses Alec's consciousness and memories, but focuses his efforts solely on protecting the Green rather than protecting humanity itself. When Batman and the Justice League Dark seek his help in locating Felix Faust, Swamp Thing agrees to transport them, but refuses to join their fight unless it directly endangers the natural world. Reluctantly, he engages in battle against Destiny at Constantine's request, but he is ultimately defeated when Destiny separates Alec Holland's corpse from his body, causing Swamp Thing to disintegrate. Despite his reluctance, Swamp Thing's presence and powers play a vital role in the struggle against supernatural threats. Number 4. Aquaman. While Aquaman gets made fun of a lot for only being useful in water, sort of, the Flashpoint Paradox movie showed us that under the right circumstances, he can destroy the entire planet. Arthur Curry, the son of Thomas Curry and Queen Atlanta of Atlantis, was born out of wedlock during Atlanta's time on the surface. Although Atlanta loved Thomas and their son, she was bound by her promise and responsibilities to marry the next king of Atlantis. Unable to marry Thomas or raise a half-breed child, she left them at Mercy Reef and returned to Atlantis. When Arthur was young, he disobeyed his father's warnings and dove into the sea, where he briefly encountered his own mother. They shared a tender moment before she vanished, leaving Arthur with a kiss on his forehead. Very cute. Despite Arthur's excitement and his attempt to share the encounter with his father, Tom Curry dismissed it as a figment of Arthur's imagination, meaning he gaslit his own son. That's what that means. Curry reassured his son that it was just the two of them and Atlanta was gone for good. As Arthur grew up, he felt that something was wrong with him, leading him to seek help from Dr. Stephen Shin, a marine biologist who had knowledge of Atlantis. Number 3. Spectre. Spectre is the embodiment of divine vengeance and serves as the enforcer of God's will. When someone is nearing death, Spectre utilizes them as a vessel to carry out the universe's purpose. In an attempt to save John Constantine, who had caused a major disruption by altering the timeline, Spectre intervened. He guided and protected Barry Allen through the Speed Force, shielding him and the new universe from Darkseid's pursuit. However, this upset the cosmic balance, and the universe sought to punish Constantine for his actions. Despite recognizing Constantine's past deeds and offering him a seemingly idyllic eternity with his loved ones in the House of Mystery, Constantine's self-loathing transformed the experience into a nightmarish existence. When Constantine confronted Spectre and explained the circumstances, the Spectre realized his inability to offer further assistance. As a blinding white light engulfed Constantine, he screamed in horror, drawn into a fate beyond Spectre's control. Number 2. Dr. Fate. When Steel Maxim was chosen by the Lords of Order during his jogging session up a mountain, don't ask me why, he became the next Dr. Fate due to his physical condition. The Helm of Fate appeared and was bestowed upon him. As Dr. Fate, Maxim used his mystical powers to uphold order and find personal fulfillment in his own mission. He formed a romantic relationship with the Silver Banshee and eventually revealed the location of the Tower of Fate to her. However, 2 months later, Steel was manipulated by Scandal Savage and Knockout, who wanted to acquire the Get Out of Hell free card from the Tower of Fate. Steel, unaware of their true intentions, led them to the tower hoping for a reward. During a fight, Steel became suspicious of Scandal's disappearance. Knockout intercepted him, and in the ensuing struggle, Steel was knocked unconscious. He was later stripped of his power by the Lords of Order, but while he was Dr. Fate, this man had some serious mojo, and anyone who uses the mantle of Dr. Fate after will have that same mojo. Number 1. The Flash. To be totally fair, The Flash has literally resulted in changes to the continuity in the Flashpoint story. The Flashpoint story in the comics resulted in the creation of the New 52, but if we're strictly talking animated movies, he still changed the whole timeline to a universe where the Earth got destroyed, all because he saved his mom. So if he can do that without trying that hard, imagine what he could do if he had an actual plan. Look at Reverse Flash, for example. He was able to extend his own life for ages after actually taking a wound to the head by Thomas Wayne Batman. Imagine the Flash deciding to bring the Savitar story into the animated universe. Yeah, I'm gonna say that the Flash can definitely destroy every world if he wanted to, and therefore is the most powerful DC animated universe superhero.
Coming in at number 10, we have Sal Maroni, one of the biggest mob bosses in all of Gotham City without any superpowers. Known for having zero regard for human life and having even supervillains think he's a cold-hearted murderer, Sal's most iconic moment was actually the creation of a villain later in this list, when he threw acid in the face of District Attorney Harvey Dent and permanently scarred both his face and his soul. And while this acid attack was retconned during the New 52 into having been committed by someone else in Harvey Dent's life, Sal continues to appear in Batman comics as a vicious and intimidating mafia figure. Coming in at number 9, we have Morgan Edge, the founder of Intergang, an international crime syndicate working in the shadows across the entire globe. Intergang was created while Morgan was being manipulated and tutored by Darkseid, who had been sending visions to Morgan ever since he was just a little boy. Appearing to the public to be the charismatic leader of a media corporation and a potential rival to Lex Luthor, Morgan was secretly running one of the world's biggest crime empires, all in the service of an intergalactic warlord. Some people just do it for the money, but Morgan Edge had a different sort of reasoning entirely, and even after cutting ties with Darkseid, would go on to help form the Superman Revenge Squad. Coming in at number 8, we have Tobias Whale, the arch enemy of Black Lightning, an African-American albino crime lord that originally got his start as the leader of the gang known as the 100 in Metropolis. He's worked his way through many different criminal organizations over the years, even serving as a public face for Intergang for a time. His most notable criminal act occurred after the school teacher Jefferson Pierce spoke out against Tobias's drug trafficking, which Tobias repaid by murdering one of Jefferson's students. This incident was what prompted Jefferson to become the hero Black Lightning in the first place, and while it may have added a superhero to the world, Tobias's brutal way of sending a message shows that he's one of the most powerful crime bosses in all of Metropolis. Coming in at number 7, we have Carmine Falcone, potentially the most powerful member of the criminal underworld that isn't also a billionaire or wears a supervillain outfit. Falcone is the definition of traditional organized crime in Gotham City. Nicknamed the Roman because of his political violence and eagerness to expand his criminal empire, Falcone was one of the earliest foes of the Batman and had nearly the entire Gotham police force on his payroll during the Caped Crusaders' earliest days. And while Batman has since been able to shrink Falcone's influence over Gotham significantly, he's still a dangerous foe that likes to press his advantage every time there's a power vacuum amongst the many supervillains of Gotham City. And speaking of supervillains. Coming in at number 6, we have Waylon Jones, aka the infamous Killer Croc. Born with a medical condition that just may be alien in nature and gives him the appearance of a human-crocodile hybrid, Killer Croc initially used his overpowered figure to wrestle with crocodiles for a local circus. However, he soon found out that the world of Gotham's criminal underbelly was far more lucrative for someone of his bloody talents, and became a rising star on the criminal scene, ascending so fast that many other supervillains attempted to kill him before he could become too big of a threat, including the Joker. Ever since, Killer Croc has been considered one of the most dangerous people in Gotham, and one of the few criminals willing to literally eat his enemies. Coming in at number 5, we're finally getting to Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face. Originally fighting on the side of justice with Bruce Wayne as Gotham's district attorney, Harvey Dent's mind was split in two following an acid attack from Sal Maroni that scarred exactly one half of his face. Making all of his decisions through a coin flip based on his past childhood trauma, Two-Face is one of the most well-known villains of Batman, and has managed to turn his tragic scarring incident into a criminal empire, capable of going toe-to-toe with criminals that Harvey Dent had once put behind bars. He might be crazy and his methods may seem randomly 50-50, but Two-Face is definitely still smart enough to be one of Gotham's most devious criminals. Coming in at number 4, we have Roman Sionis, aka Black Mask. A longtime Batman villain and one of the most prominent figures in the Gotham City underworld, Black Mask is best well known for his, well, black mask, apparently handcrafted out of the coffin of his own mother. Originally a member of the Gotham elite as the CEO of Janus Cosmetics, Roman fell into ruin after his company failed. Blaming Bruce Wayne for his own poor business sense, Roman embraced the name of Black Mask and formed his own criminal organization called the False Face Society, intending to fight back and reclaim the city that he thinks has done him so much wrong. Coming in at number 3, we have Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin. The owner of the Iceberg Lounge, perhaps the most famous criminal hangout in all of Gotham, the Penguin might look similar to his namesake, but is far more deadly in reality. While an impressive crime lord even without any superhuman enhancements, the Penguin is made extra deadly by the special umbrella he carries, which is always stuffed to the brim with different lethal gadgets to help him fight against Batman or any other supervillain that seems interested in starting a turf war. Coming in at number 2, we have the one and only Lex Luthor. Hating the idea of an alien like Superman having so much power and receiving so much love on planet Earth, Lex Luthor has been everything from a mad scientist to a ruthless businessman to even the President of the United States in his desperate quest to rid the world of the Man of Steel once and for all. Throughout all of this, Lex has secretly run one of the world's most high-tech criminal enterprises, using his various connections with other criminals to further his own schemes and either aid LexCorp or hurt Superman. He may be merely a human being, but Lex is a criminal with enough power to stand up to Superman. And finally, coming in at our top spot, we have the one and only Joker. With so many interpretations and versions over the years, there's one aspect of the Joker's character that seems to show up more often than not, and that's the amount of henchmen he's able to maintain control of despite his unpredictability and complete insanity. Despite all of that, the Joker's criminal empire is often capable of rivaling even those belonging to villains that have been meticulously plotting their crimes for decades. And because of his sheer unpredictability and the loyalty he's able to inspire in people crazy enough to follow him, the Joker just might be the most dangerous crime boss in the entire DC universe.
And it's at Midnighter. Midnighter, alongside his future husband Apollo, was part of the top secret Stormwatch team created by the first Weatherman, Henry Bendix. Nobody but Bendix himself knew of the team's existence. Bendix built them as superhumans, and when they donned their costumes and spoke their code names, their previous identities ceased to exist. Midnighter has the power to predict how a situation will happen before it starts. This allows him to run through a given situation millions of times in his mind, instantly covering every possible initial results before his first move is even made. He uses this information to predict the actions and or reactions of others, counteracting their moves almost before they even think to make them, effectively making Midnighter the greatest tactician in the history of mankind. Basically the good guy version of the Thinker. That's pretty cool. He could be Batman just because he knew every single way it would happen. And at 9, the Atomic Knight. The Atomic Knights appeared in every third issue of Strange Adventures in the early 1960s, beginning with number 117 and running through number 160. In all, there were 15 early 1960s Atomic Knight stories created by writer John Broome and artist Murphy Anderson. They were a band of heroes living in and protecting the post-apocalyptic future of 1992. Yep, at that point it was the future. Following the catastrophic Hydrogen War of 1986, a petty tyrant named the Black Baron ruled a small section of the Midwestern United States with an iron fist. He was opposed by Sergeant Gardner Grail of the Atomic Knights, who wore medieval suits of armor that were impervious to the Baron's energy weapons, the armor having been irradiated in the war. Gardner Grail also has precognition and wears a suit of armor that grants him enhanced speed, strength, endurance, and lets him blast energy, as well as being adaptable to other technology. And at 8, Akrita. Andrea's father was Bernardo Rojas, once a renowned leader in Central America who researched pre-Hispanic cultures at a university in Mexico. She lived alone with her cat named Zapata, named after one of the revolutionary leaders in Mexico. Akrita specialized in striking against organized crime. Every time she caught a perpetrator or helped avert a tragedy, she cited a literary quotation, or if she had the time, painted graffiti insulting or challenging the local authorities, which might hint at her being a bit of an anarchist, which honestly I'm kinda into. This character seemed to be kind of a Mexican Batman, and despite her anarchist tendencies, she often worked with another 2 Mexican superheroes, Iman and El Muerto. Together with these 2 allies and Superman, she once saved Mexico and the world from the total destruction from a bad guy group trying to channel the powers inherent to the ley lines of Earth to accomplish their goals. So good on ya, Andrea. Good on you. And at 7, Jack-o'-lantern. The first Jack-o'-lantern is Daniel Cormack of Ireland, who was born to a poor farmer who was granted a magical lantern by an Irish fairy. Yep, that's how we're going with this. Cormac is a member of the Global Guardians, an international group of superheroes. His first recorded mission in Super Friends number 8 was to help Green Lantern dismantle a bomb in Ireland. Both Daniel Cormack and Marvin Noronza, the second Jack-o'-lantern, have a mystical lantern that gives them the power of flight, flame projection, teleportation, illusion casting, enhanced strength, and the ability to just create fogs. The power of the lantern is also its weakest at noon and gradually increases until its peak at midnight. Liam McHugh, the third Jack-o'-lantern, found a way to internalize the powers of the mystical lantern and no longer needs to carry it. So yeah. And at 6, Apollo. Essentially the Wildstorm universe's answer to Superman, Apollo is now technically a part of the DC superhero universe, like Wildstorm ever since the 2 universes converged following the events of Flashpoint. Apollo possesses many of the same powers as Superman, but with a few notable differences. Like Kal-El, Apollo possesses superhuman strength, flight, and near invulnerability. If you want some clarification as to just how impervious to damage he is, he's able to walk on the surface of the sun. Apollo also has the ability to shoot lasers from his eyes, derived from solar energy, but unlike Superman, he can also release this energy from other parts of his body, including his hands and mouth. This dude can fire lasers from his mouth. He uses hyper beam in real life. His only real weakness is that he relies on the sun for his powers, so if he doesn't get enough exposure, his powers will diminish, but hey, at least Apollo isn't vulnerable to kryptonite. Halfway through into number 5, Swamp Thing. In a secret facility located in the Louisiana swamplands, scientist Alec Holland and his wife Linda invented a bio-restorative formula that would solve any nation's food shortage problems. Ferret and Bruno, thugs working for Nathan Ellery, barged into Alec's lab, knocked him out, and planted a bomb in the facility. Alec woke up just as the bomb exploded, and in the flames he ran into the swamp. His body had been drenched in the bio-restorative formula, and this affected the plant life of the swamp, imbuing it with Alex's consciousness and memories. The newly conscious plant life then formed a semblance of a human form and rose up from the bog as the Swamp Thing, the latest in a long line of Earth elementals created when the Green was in need of protection. His body is composed of sentient vegetable matter, he has the ability to nourish himself, superhuman strength, elemental control, chlorokinesis, astral projection, biofission, immortality, regeneration, size alteration, resurrection, you name it, and Swampy can do it. Swampy away! And in 4, Mr. Miracle. Mr. Miracle was scot-free, the god of escape in the New Gods mythology. A Genesian raised on Apocalypse, he defected with his lover Big Barda to Earth, where he used the skills he learned in escapology, both as a performance artist and in the Justice League of America. Originally, the boy scot-free was the son of High Father Isaiah, the ruler of New Genesis. However, as a part of a diplomatic move to stop a destructive war against the planet Apocalypse, High Father agreed to an exchange of children with his enemy Darkseid. In doing so, he surrendered scot-free to the care of his enemy while he received his enemy's son Orion. This guy has new god physiology, okay, making him immortal, super strength, super durable, and giving him super agility. Plus, when utilizing his full godly potential, Mr. Miracle wields a cosmic energy field called Alpha Effect, which allows him to transverse through time and space, heal living beings, fully restore creatures back from death, and control energy to an almost boundless degree. Yep, you're on the list. Getting close to the end in at number 3, Jem, son of Saturn. After both his mother and teacher were killed by the White Martians, Jem stole a ship and escaped to Earth, in search of his lover Syra, who had fled there earlier. He arrives in Harlem, New York and is befriended by an orphan named Luther Mankin. After a series of adventures with and without Luther, Jem eventually found Syra. They all then traveled to New Bok, a red Saturnian colony, but because he refused to take sides in a civil war on New Bok, Jem was disavowed and cast out by both factions. Dispirited, Jem and Luther returned to Earth, and given that Jem is a form of Martian in a sense, his Saturnian physiology gives him flight, metamorphosis, physiokinesis, telekinesis, telepathy, energy projection, superhuman durability, superhuman stamina, and superhuman strength that allows him to match Martian Manhunter blow for blow. So I think this is a pretty worthy number 3. Penultimately, in at number 2, Karate Kid. Karate Kid is actually Val Armour, a superhero from the future and also a member of the Legion of Superheroes. He is a master of every form of martial arts to have ever been developed by the 30th century. The extent of his skill was so great that he could severely damage various types of hard material with a single blow, and was briefly able to hold his own against Superboy through the use of what he called super karate. So he already seems pretty legit. Val Armour was the son of Japanese greatest crime lord Kiaru Nozumi, also known as the Black Dragon. When he was born, his mother, an American secret agent known as Valentina Armour, tried to hide him from his father, but she failed to do so and was killed for her affront. Japan's biggest hero, Sensei Toshiaki, and the White Crane, eventually killed the Black Dragon for his crimes and then adopted the infant Val. He raised Val as if he were his own son and trained him in all manner of martial arts. Val became the youngest warrior ever to earn the title of samurai, and he went on to work for his local shogun. However, after trying his best and failing to please his supervisor, he quit and searched the galaxy for new forms of battle to master. That just goes to show you, people, appreciate your employees, otherwise they're gonna quit and go search the galaxy for new forms of martial arts, okay? And finally, in at number 1, Blue Beetle. Jamie Reyes was a relatively normal high school student from El Paso, Texas. His father ran a garage and his mother was a paramedic, and he had a little sister who was a total brat. Jamie hung out with his 2 best friends, Brenda and Paco, and he acted as like the mediator between the hardworking Brenda and the laid-back Paco. By both Brenda and Paco's accounts, he was a good friend, the kind of person who could just let them be themselves and would always make things better. Jamie aimed to help his father out in the garage, but Alberto turned him down, not wanting to see his son grow up too fast. Ted Cord, the second Blue Beetle, had come into possession of the Blue Beetle Scarab, the artifact which had given Dan Garrett, the first Blue Beetle, his powers. The Scarab had been presumed destroyed early in Ted's superhero career, but it was discovered intact in a pyramid in the Middle East. This is where Jamie gets his powers as well. What are those powers, you ask? The Scarab can and will use its powers of its own accord. Jamie, however, can override the Scarab if need be, and should Jeremy fall prey to mind-altering power, the Scarab will take control of the armor. So it will act on its own, and basically he's not mind control anymore because it's just the Scarab doing it, not actually him. So yeah, number 1 hands.
At number 10 is Red Hood, by far one of the most captivating and tragic heroes of all time. Initially known as Jason Todd, his journey began as a street punk until Batman took him under his wing, acting as a father figure to the second Robin. Tragedy struck when the Joker mercilessly bashed him one too many times with a crowbar, leaving Batman devastated. But that's not where Jason's story ends. Thanks to either Superboy Prime's reality-altering antics or a little help from the Lazarus Pits, depending on which continuity we're talking about, he was resurrected, bursting out of his own coffin with a deep resentment resentment towards Batman for failing to avenge him. Becoming the infamous anti-hero Red Hood, he adopted the name to taunt Batman, reminding him of his two greatest failures: when Batman knocked the original Red Hood into the vat of chemicals and inadvertently creating the Joker, and failing to save Jason Todd. By taking the name Red Hood, Jason is taunting Batman with the fact that his two greatest failures are coming back to taunt him. Believing Batman's approach to crime was flawed, Red Hood took matters into his own hands. Working undercover in the criminal underworld, he sought to control crime rather than destroy it. He justified claiming lives when dealing with those who've claimed lives themselves, enacting his own version of justice. The emotional core of Red Hood's character lies in his quest for answers and revenge. He confronted Batman, wanting to know why he spared the Joker after the torment he inflicted on him. In Jason's mind, he found his answer when Batman chose to save the Joker's life. At number 9 is Wildcat. Wildcat is one of DC's most powerful street-level heroes despite having no superpowers. The legacy of feline-themed vigilantes began with Ted Grant, a world-class champion boxer who fights crime using his incredible hand-to-hand combat abilities. Ted's journey as a fighter started early in life when he faced a tough opponent named Billy, who knocked him and his front teeth out after having been distracted by daydreams of his school crush cheering him on. This experience taught Ted the importance of focus in a fight and made him see love itself as nothing more than a distraction. As he grew older, he became a heavyweight boxer, dominating the competition during the day while secretly fighting crime in his off time as the hero known as Wildcat. While his signature fighting style is boxing, Ted is a master martial artist, having trained other iconic heroes like Batman, Black Canary, Green Arrow, and Jay Garrick. Despite his age, Wildcat's stamina and muscle physique remain unmatched. Punches are even capable of ripping shadow demons in two. Furthermore, some comics suggest that he possesses a unique ability to revive himself if he ever passes away, albeit this power is limited to 9 resurrections. Well, 6. Apparently he already lost the first 3. At number 8 is Tim Drake. As the third ever Robin, he assumed the mantle after the tragic demise of Jason Todd. What sets Drake apart from all Robins, however, is his unparalleled detective skills, arguably making him one of the most exceptional sleuth among all who've embraced the Robin role. But Tim's journey didn't end with being Batman's sidekick. He became his own hero, adopting the prefix Red and becoming the Red Robin, continuing his street-level heroics, never losing touch with his roots. Not only did Tim prove his worth as a solo crime fighter, but he also became an invaluable member of renowned teams like the Titans and the Young Justice, solidifying his status not only as one of the greatest street-level heroes, but beyond that, his legacy as one of the best Robins remains intact. At number 7 is The Question. Originally portrayed by Vic Sage, a skilled investigative journalist, The Question is the epitome of a street-level hero. Donning the mask to protect his identity, Sage embarked on a relentless quest to unravel mysteries and expose conspiracies. What's fascinating is that many of his theories, initially considered mere speculation, turned out to be startlingly true. In the captivating storyline 52, Vic Sage sadly met his demise, leading to a crucial passing of the torch. Enter Renee Montagna, a familiar face in Batman comics, who took on the mantle of The Question. Having left Gotham PD, Montagna embraced her new identity, continuing her valiant crusade to safeguard the crime-ridden streets she held dear. But what makes The Question one of the most powerful street-level heroes? It's not about superhuman abilities or flashy powers. Rather, it's the unwavering determination, unyielding intellect, and dogged pursuit of truth that define this character. With both Sage and Montagna bringing their unique skills to the table, The Question navigates the complex web of crime and corruption, making each of them a formidable force in the gritty streets of DC Comics. At number 6 is The Vigilante. Starting off as a lawyer and eventually becoming a judge, Adrian Chase's transformation into a deadly anti-hero was catalyzed by a harrowing tragedy, the loss of his wife and children to mafia violence. Having lost faith in a judicial system that had failed to bring his family's executioners to justice, he metamorphosized into the Vigilante, doling out his unique brand of ruthless justice to the underworld. Chase's relentless pursuit of mob boss Anthony Scarpelli took him deeper into the darkness of vigilantism, culminating in his tragic end when, after several failed attempts to quit vigilantism, he took his own life, inspiring a lineage of relentless executioners to take up his mantle. Throughout history, he's showcased a remarkable tenacity and resourcefulness, exemplifying the true essence of a powerful street-level hero. As a former member of Checkmate and an associate of the Teen Titans, his influence echoes throughout the annals of DC Comics. At number 5 is Damian Wayne. If there's one thing that Bruce gets right, it's raising children to become legitimate, competent, and independent street heroes. And the most recent Robin is closer in skill to Batman than any other. his son, Damian Wayne. Damian's journey to heroism was no walk in the park. With a grandfather as notorious as the assassin Ra's al Ghul, he faced an uphill battle to resist the allure of a darker path. Yet Damian made the conscious choice to align himself with his father Batman, rejecting his darker heritage. Trained by the best, Damian honed his combat skills and tactical genius to perfection, making him an exceptional partner to Batman. His unique bond with the Caped Crusader has instilled in him a sense of discipline and determination, setting him apart from other Robins. In addition to his lineage and training, Damian possesses unique traits. Enhanced by the Al Ghul bloodline, he exhibits superior physical prowess, agility, and resilience. Furthermore, his cunning intellect and fierce determination to protect Gotham City further elevate his status as a truly remarkable street-level hero. With a complex backstory and relentless commitment to justice, Damian Wayne, the fourth boy wonder, undoubtedly earns his place among the most powerful street-level heroes in the captivating world of DC Comics. At number 4 is Rorschach. Walter Kovacs, famously known as Rorschach, is often considered the main protagonist among the ensemble cast of The Watchmen, as it's he who drives most of the plot forward and serves as the series' only narrator. Despite lacking superhuman abilities, Rorschach's unwavering determination and unorthodox methods set him apart. His unhinged demeanor and recklessly audacious approach to combat make him an unpredictable force to reckon with. With his tragically dark past and disillusionment with the flawed justice system, Rorschach becomes a man of fierce conviction, almost bordering on obsession. His relentless pursuit of justice against crime is fueled by a belief that evil is a deeply ingrained sickness that demands eradication. And how does he accomplish this? Through a torrent of punches, demonstrating nearly unparalleled fighting skills. And although he's not physically the toughest Watchman, Rorschach's mental fortitude and audacious tactics make him a formidable and feared figure on the streets, even among superpowered adversaries. His unique blend of madness, conviction, and combat prowess solidifies Rorschach's status as one of DC Comics' most powerful street-level heroes. At number 3 is Nightwing. Starting off as the very first Robin to ever hold the title, Dick Grayson grew to become an adored figure in DC Comics. After his partnership with Batman, he became the iconic Nightwing, carving his path into the superhero landscape. While Batman protected Gotham City, Nightwing found his calling in the neighboring town of Bloodhaven. However, Dick's dynamic skills were not limited to being a vigilante. He also worked as a police officer, adding a unique layer to his work as a crime fighter. This background endowed him with invaluable street-level experience, finally honing his abilities to tackle crime head-on while being closely connected with the communities he served. What's more is that Grayson's Teen Titans tenure further shaped his remarkable capabilities, expanding his heroic toolkit and establishing him as a symbol of hope and inspiration for fellow heroes and citizens alike. With deep-rooted connections, vast experience, and a relentless commitment to justice, Nightwing thrives as a street-level hero on par with his mentor Batman. At number 2 is Green Arrow. Green Arrow, the affluent archer of DC Comics, transcends his privileged upbringing to become one of the most powerful street-level heroes in the DC universe. His unwavering dedication to helping his city sets him apart from many other heroes. Green Arrow's compassionate, bleeding heart heroism drives him to utilize his considerable resources to aid the less fortunate, battling the crime that plagues their neighborhoods. While renowned for his unparalleled archery skills, Green Arrow's hand-to-hand combat abilities are equally exceptional. He's proven his mettle against formidable foes like Deathstroke, showcasing remarkable fighting prowess. Moreover, unlike other heroes, Green Arrow never shies away from acknowledging his mistakes. He confronts his errors head-on, diligently working to rectify them and taking responsibility for his actions. In addition to his unmatched marksmanship, Green Arrow's extensive arsenal of trick arrows grant him a versatile edge in any situation. From explosive to boomerang arrows, his ingenuity knows no bounds. Despite facing various challenges, Green Arrow maintains a balanced life as both a hero and Oliver Queen, retaining his sense of humor and humanity. Comparatively, Batman's life is almost entirely consumed by his crime-fighting mission in Gotham City. While Batman possesses an unparalleled skill set and impressive bat family, his single-minded dedication leaves little room for personal equilibrium. Conversely, Green Arrow's ability to maintain a balanced life contributes to his resilience as a street-level hero, making him a truly unique and powerful force within the DC Comics universe. And at number 1, it's Batman. If there's one hero in comic books, be it Marvel or DC, that represents the quintessential street-level hero, it's Batman. Since his debut in the 1930s, he's been an emblem of vigilante justice, guarding the alleys of Gotham City from the clutches of the criminal underworld. Batman's rogues gallery consists of adversaries who seek to dominate the streets, from the cunning Penguin and enigmatic Riddler to the two-faced Two-Face and the immortal Ra's al Ghul. However, his most iconic nemesis, the Joker, embodies chaos and anarchy, representing the antithesis of Batman's disciplined approach. But what sets Batman apart is his ability to inspire others to take up the mantle of street vigilantes. As the mentor to numerous heroes like Nightwing, Robin, and Batgirl, he's kicked off an entire lineage of crime-fighting prowess. Batman's legacy endures as the catalyst for a new generation of street-level heroes, making him the undisputed powerhouse of street-level heroes in DC Comics.
And at 10, Catman. I mostly put this on the list because I wanted to joke about Fairly Odd Parents. Thomas Blake, once a wealthy socialite in Gotham City, became a skilled hunter of jungle cats, but squandered his fortune in pursuit of his obsession. Left with nothing, he turned to a life of crime. Considering becoming a vigilante like Batman, he chose a different path later on and became the costumed villain known as Catman. His criminal spree involved stealing cat-themed items and valuables, mirroring his affinity for the creatures he once hunted, and as Catman, he encountered Batman and Robin on multiple occasions, and they eventually figured out his identity, thanks to the intervention of Batwoman. In a desperate attempt to escape capture, Catman deployed a giant cat robot, but the dynamic duo stopped the plans and destroyed the machine. In a final confrontation, Catman was washed away by a river and presumed dead, his criminal career coming to an end. But, I mean, still, Adam West as Catman on Fairly Odd Parents definitely makes him street level. If a kids show can joke about it, then yeah, you're sad. In at 9, Prometheus. Prometheus, born to criminal parents, witnessed their violent demise at the hands of the police, which left them traumatized and turned their hair white from shock. Fueled by a desire for revenge against justice, he took an oath to eradicate all those who stood in his way. Concealing his true name, he became a formidable foe with a plan to wreak havoc on the world. After unleashing devastating devices across numerous cities, causing immense destruction and loss of lives, including Roy Harper's daughter Leanne, Prometheus offered a deal to the Justice League of America. He promised to reveal the device's locations and deactivate them in exchange for his freedom. Reluctantly, the JLA agreed to save innocent lives. However, upon return to his hideout, Prometheus encountered Green Arrow, who sought vengeance for Leanne's death. In a swift confrontation, Green Arrow shot an arrow through Prometheus' head, putting an end to the man's reign of terror. But hey, then it started the whole Trial of Green Arrow storyline, which a lot of people hate. So yeah, that's why he's up higher on the list, because of him. In at 8, Court of Owls. They're a violent cabal who uses architecture and murder to wield political influence throughout the city. Their legend is only told through whispers and a nursery rhyme that bears their name. To carry out their interests, they employ a breed of highly trained assassins known as Talons, and the leaders of the organization appear to be humans wearing owl masks on their faces, because where else would you wear a mask? The rest of the court, on the other hand, are mutated and appear to be actually like human-owl hybrids. Their owl-like distorted faces, long claws, and their eating style seem to prove this, unless they're just very into roleplay, or maybe they're just owl bears, and D&D has been real in the DC universe for ages. The Court of Owls takes notice when billionaire philanthropist Bruce Wayne announces plans to rebuild and reshape Gotham City for the future, but is sentenced to death by the group and their assassin, the Talon. They attempt to kill him during a meeting with politician Lincoln March, but they don't, because, you know, he's Batman. They struggle to the top of Wayne Tower, and the Talon survives a fall from the top of it somehow, but Batman begins to investigate and uncovers their whole society and a secret headquarters and how they were established by the Alan Wayne Trust, and it's a whole thing that is just meant to make Batman connected to the corruption in the city. And at 7, Bronze Tiger. Bronze Tiger, also known as Ben Turner, is a master martial artist renowned worldwide for his combat skills. His journey began with Richard Dragon under the guise of O-Sensei, but he later fell victim to the League of Assassins' brainwashing, transforming him into one of its deadliest killers. Despite their programming, Ben eventually broke free from their control, choosing to embrace heroism instead. His childhood in an upper middle class black neighborhood took a dark turn when at age 10 he killed a burglar that was assaulting his parents. Struggling with anger and homicidal urges as all 10-year-olds do, he turns to martial arts, seeking discipline and control, but again, his anger persisted, leading him to, become a criminal. Recognizing the dangerous path that he was on, Ben embarked on a journey around the world seeking guidance, and he ends up becoming a hero, but he was a villain, and that's why I'm putting him on this list. Plus, Ben Turner in Arrow is pretty freaking dope, so yeah. And at 6, Huntress. Helena Bertinelli, also known as the Huntress, was once a rogue and vengeful vigilante seeking to destroy her father's criminal empire after he had her fiancé, Michael Stanton, killed. Her paths crossed with Oliver Queen, who intervened to save her from her father's deadly scheme, but realizing that Oliver's different approach to justice didn't really work for her, she left Starling. Later on, Helena returned with a vendetta against her father, who sought protection by cooperating with the authorities, but Oliver tried to stop her again, but she escaped. Because he wouldn't kill her, because he had boinked her. This is all from the TV show, by the way. A year later, she resurfaced when Team Arrow confronted her father again, leading to his ultimate demise, but she wasn't the one to do it, so she was upset about that, because if you want your father to die and you aren't the one who does it, apparently that's a bad thing. In the ensuing chaos, she gets arrested and sent to prison, finally. In the comics, she's like a vigilante hero, but in the show, she was definitely a villain, so that's why I'm putting her on the list, alright? That's why it's the Arrow version. Halfway through in number 5, Condiment King, the best character in all of Batman the Animated Series. The Condiment King, created by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini for Batman the Animated Series, is a villain who uses various condiments as his weapons, sometimes capable of causing anaphylactic shock. Yeah, that's right. He's generally used as comic relief within the series. He would make many condiment-based puns. For example, the big bad bat guy, I knew you'd catch up to me sooner or later, how I relished this meeting. You, the dynamic Dark Knight, versus me, the conceptual Condiment King. Come on, Batman, let me see if you can cut the mustard. And we all know that I love bad jokes. The Condiment King is seemingly killed after being betrayed and bludgeoned by the Human Flame, with his own ketchup and mustard guns at that in the miniseries finale Crisis Aftermath Run, which already shows how he can actually be deadly. But that's not taking into account any potential allergic reactions that he can trigger, like I said, anaphylactic shock, or blindness, okay? I mean, ketchup and mustard are very acidic and can cause some serious damage if left unchecked. Plus, like, what would you do if you had fries and he gives you mustard, okay? The only appropriate punishment for that is death. In at 4, Mr. Freeze. I put this on the list because I really wanted to make Freeze jokes, but yeah, it seemed a little cold. Mr. Freeze made his debut as Mr. Zero in Batman number 121 from 1959, and he was a gimmick character, but was later renamed and popularized as Mr. Freeze during the 1960s television series. However, it was Batman the Animated Series that truly revitalized the character and gave him a compelling origin. In the episode Heart of Ice, writer Paul Dini introduced Mr. Freeze's terminally ill wife Nora, cryogenically frozen to preserve her life. The tragic backstory explained his fixation on ice and turned his crime into crime to fund research for her cure. The complex and sympathetic portrayal resonated with fans, becoming the standard for the character in various media, including the comics. The episode's success was groundbreaking for a Saturday morning cartoon, shaping the tone of the entire series. The origin story became canon in the comics and remained the official backstory for Mr. Freeze in most Batman adaptations, and in the 1997 film Batman and Robin, Arnold Schwarzenegger portrayed him, incorporating elements of his origin, with Dr. Victor Freeze, a brilliant cryonologist, struggling to save his beloved wife. But yeah, we gotta love the puns. What killed the dinosaurs? A meteor! Instead of the Ice Age. If you get it, you get it. No one here is laughing, so I know that was a great joke. In at 3, Batman. While yes, Batman is a hero, and has been a hero in most iterations I should say, there are versions where the Bats is a bad guy and those are absolutely terrifying, okay? Satan Batman from Batman in Bethlehem, Vampire Batman from Red Rain, Batman the Merciless from Earth -12, Red Death, and the most iconic, the Batman Who Laughs. When he was a boy, Bruce Wayne watched his parents get killed in an alleyway, and then everything went sideways for this version of Batman when the Joker stirred a killing spree across Gotham. The clown had discovered that he was dying from the same chemicals that had turned him into what he was and wanted to take everyone with him. He killed all of Batman's enemies, including Penguin, Catwoman, Killer Croc, and the Ventriloquist. He also killed Commissioner Gordon, who accidentally sprung an acid trap in his notebook that melted his face off. And then after bombing a hospital and recreating the scene of Bruce's parents' death in front of him multiple times, Batman lost control and snapped his neck. Unbeknownst to Batman though, the Joker exhaled a toxin that was contained within his heart, which infected anyone close to him if he had died, which in this case was Batman, causing him to snap and basically become the new Joker. We all know the story of the Batman Who Laughs, but yeah, that's enough to put him on this damn list. Okay, it's Batman but bad. That's terrifying. But ultimately, in number 2, Joker. The Joker has undergone many revisions since his 1940 debut. The most common interpretation of the character is that of a man who, while disguised as the criminal Red Hood, is pursued by Batman and falls into a vat of chemicals that bleaches his skin, colors his hair green, and then his lips red and drives him insane. I don't know how one vat of chemicals can bleach your skin, turn your hair green, and then your lips red, especially because your lips are your skin, but oh well. I guess that's just because he's crazy? The reasons why the Joker was disguised as the Red Hood and his identity before his transformation have changed over time. However, the lack of solid, consistent origins is the only part of what makes the character so mysterious. During the Darkseid War storyline, Batman uses Metron's Mobius chair to find out the Joker's real name, and the chair answers with quite the revelation. In the DC Universe Rebirth one-shot, Batman informs Hal Jordan that the chair told him that they were 3 individual Jokers and not just one. The revelation is the basis for Batman the miniseries 3 Jokers, where it's revealed that there were 3 Jokers that were working in tandem, including the Criminal, which was a methodical mastermind based on the Golden Age Joker, the Clown, which was a goofy prankster based on the Silver Age Joker, and the Comedian, a psychopathic killer based on the modern one. So yeah, when there's 3 of you, you're kind of gonna be at the top of the list, okay? And that's also partially why people love him so much. And And finally, in at number 1, Deathstroke. I know that you're all gonna be mad at me putting Deathstroke over the Joker, but hear me out, okay? Being introduced in the new Teen Titans number 2 from 1980 as Deathstroke the Terminator, Deathstroke is often seen as the arch-enemy of the Teen Titans. However, the character has also served as a villain for Batman, Green Arrow, and the Justice League, and is the main antagonist of Arrow Season 2. The show seems to have a more powerful version when talking about brute strength, since he has actually the Mirakuru within his system, which is a super soldier serum that was ironically found on the island that Oliver was stranded on and saved Slade's life. But after the Mirakuru is in his bloodstream, he develops serious anger issues, like even worse than me, and that's tied to his strength, and then he comes back into Starling City to get revenge on Oliver by killing everyone he loves and blah blah blah. But especially in the comics, Deathstroke is a terrifying character, like when he became a speedster in the Lazarus contract from 2017, in which Wally is captured by Slade and finds himself bound to a machine, forced to reveal his secrets as he runs. Unbeknownst to Wally though, Slade manipulated him using a verbal technique to extract confidential information, and then he offers him a solution. Assist him in altering the past to save his son, and in return he will abandon his life as Deathstroke. But he doesn't, and then Deathstroke basically takes the Speed Force, which is nuts.